Hello and welcome everyone. When we get encountered with the word thief, then immediately there will be a picture in front of our mind, okay, that will flash into our mind, and we find someone, okay, who has done theft with us. Either he has stolen something, or else he was in the mood to steal something. In case if we would be having more refined ideas, okay, better ideas, psychologically enhanced ideas, then we would think someone who has cheated upon us mentally, emotionally, and somewhere sentimentally also. So that means theft and being called thief is not actually a confined zone, it is a broad zone. Amongst all these perceptions, if someone has stolen something, if he comes and gives you back, if he or she returns the thing that has been stolen, then what will be? He or she would be able to be called himself or herself unblemished, that I am not a thief. The thing, the task, the sin that I did has been replaced. But if something that has been attached, okay, to the emotive part of the body, to the emotive part of the spirit and soul, it is not a thing to be given back. So sometimes when we skip this particular aspect and try to connect our theft and our thieves identification with only the materialistic things and the materials, then what happens? We perhaps mispronounce the word, not only mispronounce actually, but we are not able to explain it completely. In this story, a beautiful journey of the transformation has been given. You will come across how a small boy, being a thief, he could be able to get the touch of transformation after being in contact with someone, a great one actually. I was still a thief when I met Anil. The narrator is saying to us. Actually, the story starts with the narration of the narrator when he is saying, I was a thief. Until the time I could not meet Anil, I was remained a thief only. And though only 15, even at the age of 15, I was a thief. I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked easygoing, kind and simple enough for my purpose. It means we can find when the people are simple, when the people are easygoing, they can be the best target for whom? For the people who want to steal or who want to actually create a kind of deception and a kind of knavery task. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. But as you know, this is the best trick. First, we are supposed to take someone into our confidence, and if it is possible, then perhaps it becomes easier to steal the things and to cheat upon him. So the experienced boy is saying to us, first of all, when I found him while he was watching a wrestling match, then I found him that yeah, he is comfortable, he is easygoing, and he is a common fellow and a simple fellow. So perhaps he can be stolen or he can be somewhere cheated upon easily. But before that, I am supposed to take him into my confidence. And to win someone's confidence, the best idea is to flatter. Okay? To flatter, actually. You look a bit of wrestler yourself, I said. A little flattery helps in making friends. So do you, he replied, which put me off for a moment, because at the time I was rather thin. The thief, just for his trick, just to apply his trick, okay, he called a lean fellow a wrestler one. The same reply was given by him also, because another one whom he was quite unexpected and he was totally unpredicted for him, because he was a stranger and he was going to encounter the first time with him. So being a lean, when he was commented that even you two look like a wrestler, so it created a contradictory perception. Whatever that the thief was expecting and thinking about about Anil, he was not like that. Actually, he was not as easygoing as he was expecting. Well, I said modestly, I do wrestle a bit. Then ultimately, when he got puzzled, when he got entangled with his own question and cross question, so he said, even I can be able to do, a bit of wrestling. What's your name? He was asked. Hari Singh. I lied. I took a new name every month that kept me ahead of the police and my former employers. It means a new name has promptly been discovered, and that was Hari Singh. Why it was discovered? He is saying to us that every month he has to change his name so that he can create a confusion, okay, to the previous employers where he has robbed, and even to the police also. After this introduction, Anil talked about the well-oiled wrestlers who were grunting, lifting and throwing each other about. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually. That was what? A casual, actually a casual conversation in between both of them. They both were stranger to each other, but one person was having, a kind of a piece of intention that he wanted to apply, but another one was not having. He was casually talking. So in this conversation, a few talks moved ahead after explaining about the wrestlers, about their way of throwing and pushing each other, about their appearance also. And these pieces of formal conversation, when Anil started moving ahead, then he started again chasing him because his intention is still pending. Hello again, he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. I want to work for you, I said, but I can't pay you. Now, here again, okay, to take someone's confidence, again, a task of flattery has been created. Hari Singh, the thief, he said, I want to work for you. He's saying, you want to work with me, but I don't have anything to pay to you. And here
Thought
again,
that
a story
over a
comes
minute,
with a new
perhaps
twist.
I
Actually, I had misjudged my man. I asked, can you feed me? Why he misjudged? Because the fellow who was unable to pay for the task, it means he will not be in the condition that he is required to be robbed by me, he is saying. But even then, the conversation started expanding, and even there was a knot which was created by the thief. And anyhow, he was actually, he was in the mood to move ahead with the thing. So ultimately he remarked, not only actually remarked, but he demanded. He said, can you feed me? Ultimate. Okay, this is actually an undisputable one where someone will think of it. Can you cook? Again, the cross question has been created. The fellow was not easygoing. He was a witty one, even a clever one also. Not we should call clever one, but somewhere not as he was expecting. I can cook. I lied again. There was one lie when he spoke his name, another lie when he said, I can cook. Even he was not acquainted with any kind of cooking things. If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you. If you are able to cook, then he's saying perhaps I would be having something that can be able to make you feed. He took me to his room over the Jamuna sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony. But the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. When we lie, it is not a thing to be invisible and to be hidden for a long time. He's saying my second lie, when I lied that I can be able to cook, that was actually disclosed, that was visible because that night when I came with Anil, who was staying at Jamuna's street shop, and I was, informed to sleep on the balcony. And that night I prepared the meal. And the meal was so horrible that no one could eat it. Even the meal was thrown in front of a stray dog. And I was told not to cook anymore. But I just hung around, smiling in my most appealing way. But he's saying, even then, the boy did not throw me out of his house, and he couldn't help laughing. And I wanted to flatter him, so I kept on, sticking to my appealing smile, and he also laughed. It means there was a kind of acceptance of the falsehood also, and acceptance of the innocence also, that being a thief the boy was somewhere having. Later he patted on the head and said, never mind, he would teach me to cook. This is the verge and the junction where someone has to think, okay, I'm lying. I'm lying repeatedly. But even then, the person who is standing in front of me, he is not at all bothering and caring about my lying. But even then, he is able to mend me. He is able to refine my personality. I'll have to think. I will think. And Anil told him that I would teach you how to cook the things first. He also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and to add numbers also. That means there was not only a thing to be learned by the boy, by the thief, in form of cooking only, but there were a great number of teaching that would be given by Anil, and in that way he will be able to write down his name, sentences, numbers also. It means somewhere a task of truth and honesty was being reflected by Anil. I could write like an educated man. There would be no limit to what I could achieve. Anil told me if I'm able to pay concentration upon those things that he is going to teach me, perhaps I would be like an educated one. And when someone is with the education, then there is no limit for him. Yesterday, the thief is saying, yesterday I was demanding food to someone. But perhaps with the help of this particular task of teaching, of education, and all those things, I would be able to feed someone in my life. And these are the things that you can't ignore, students. Even you can't, leave aside, not even for a moment. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit about a rupee a day. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. Ultimately, he was a thief. And being a thief, he wanted to maintain his standard. When he was given the task of, purchasing daily supplies from market, so he's saying, I started curtailing. I started actually stealing a few rupees, 1 rupee, okay, from all those supply. I know Anil was acquainted with this task, but he never paid any attention. Why he didn't pay any attention? When someone is with the intention to change someone, then for that there must be patience. For that there must be, a bit of waiting. The man is high-headed. He is not a shrink or shallow-minded. So that's why he was expecting that surely and certainly, gradually, I may seek, I may find, I may have in the same a new one very soon. Anil made money by fits and starts. Fits and starts, that means with a lot of interruption. There was no, consecutive, or you can call consistent earning that Anil was having. He would borrow 1 week, lend the next. He kept worrying about his next check. But as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a queer way to make a living. Now here we found that host, Mr. Anil, okay, he was a freelance writer and he used to write for the magazines. So whenever, okay, he was able to be, whenever the magazines were comfortable with the selection of his articles, then they used to pay him. So in that way, his earning was not regular ones actually, and he was earning by fits and starts. So and even beyond that, one queer and one strange and one weird habit that he was having, that when he was having no money, then he used to borrow the things also. And sometimes he's saying it was very different to watch him when he was expecting for his check. But as he gets the check, immediately he goes out and he celebrates with his friends. It means he was, not a miser one, but he was a spendthrift. As he receives money, immediately he wants to celebrate and he wants to, just spend the money also. But it was much too challenging for the thief, because he came here, okay, to rob and to plunder something, but there is nothing because the boy is quite a random one. One evening he came home with a small bundle of notes, saying he had just sold a book to publisher. At night I saw him tuck the money under the mattresses. I had been working for Anil for almost a month, and apart from cheating on the shopping, had not done anything in my line of work. I had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given me a key to the door, and I could come, go as I pleased. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. Student, try to pay attention on this last comment. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. This is again, okay, the folk. This is again, okay, the facet and the part of the coin where you are having, okay, a clear picture of something. Even then, if you want to blame, if you want to cheat upon, if you want to divert, okay, and if you want to steal something, then it means the task was not actually a task which was done in forgetfulness, but the task was done intentionally and purposely. So he is saying, when I found that Anil came with a few rupees that he found after selling, or after, yes, after actually selling a book to a publisher. So he is saying, in my entire month, when I have been working for Anil, I just stole a few rupees out of the supply to make me, a profitable one. And beyond that, I didn't do anything. Why I didn't do anything? Because neither there was a chance, no, there were money actually also. But he is saying, I found one thing, that for me, in my entire life, I found the most trusting person, and that was Anil. Because he actually handed me everything, and he was like an open book in front of me, because he gave me a key also. Whenever I wanted, I can come to house, I can go outside, okay. It means there was an access to enter into the task of the transformation, if the thief wishes. And this is why it is so difficult to rob him. As earlier we have discussed in the class also, as Paulo Coelho says, there is a gap between intention and action. You intended to rob someone, okay? But to perform and to execute the task, there will be a gap. And in this gap, there is a thought. And the thought is, for me, Anil is the most trustworthy person. This thought perhaps will push you somewhere, and where will you go? That will be your own identity. It's easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed. Now this is the psychologically enhanced perception of a thief. Even a thief is also an artist. So what he is saying, when I rob a greedy man, I found happiness because he can afford to be robbed. But it is difficult to rob a careless man. But it is very difficult to rob a careless man. Why? Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of the work. Because when you perform a task, and out of the task performance, you must be having a, either slight or a major, outcome in the form of reaction also. So he is saying the greedy people, when they were robbed, okay, they cry, and the reaction which is thrown by them, it gives us pleasure when we enjoy it. Yeah, look at him, how he is bemoaning and how he is wailing. But a careless one, okay, he even doesn't know he has been robbed. So this creates a kind of detachment from the task, that you were nothing in front of that one. If you speak and someone is silent in this dispute, who will be the winner? One who is silent. Well, it's time I did some real work. I told myself, I'm out of practice, and if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me. I told you, in between there is a thought that he is the most trustworthy person for me. This particular thought will help you in moving ahead or in coming also back. What kind of things, what kind of intention do you have? It depends upon you. So he's saying, I intended again. No, I should not think being a thief like that, about the emotions, about the other things. He's saying, I wanted to rob him. Why I wanted to rob him? Then I created two claims for that. Number one, he is not paying me anything for all my jobs and for all my tasks that I'm performing for him. Second thing, if I don't steal, he will actually spend the entire money upon his friends only. Okay, and that will be a kind of wasting of money only. So it means still the thief is actually a thief, but the thought, two pieces of thought, the most trusting person, and it is difficult to rob a careless man. They will interrupt you, they will keep interrupting you, okay, until you become, the heinous criminal, the most heinous and the most flagrant criminal. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat up on the floor, considering the situation. If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. Slipping out of the blanket, I crept up to the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had most marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. So ultimately, someone who was actually a thief, his instinct, his genuineness, and moreover, his identity, it started striking him. That prove yourself. Do something. I am with you. You are not a human being, you are something else. Such kind of echo, when he heard, he started following those echoes, and ultimately he accepted and he wanted to steal the money. As in this paragraph, you can feel that the situation when someone who was careless, but he was but he was happy. He was happy without any pressure, without any burden. And someone who was actually awakening, someone who was not sleeping because he was under pressure, under, under the burden of stealing something. Because the intention only it makes human being apart from the other ones. My hand slid under the mattress, searching for the notes. When I found them, I drew them out without a sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. As the entire plan was set up, he thought as he would get the note money, he would be able to catch 10:30, express to Lucknow. And he did. He actually found the money. He found the notes, and as he took the note, suddenly there was, a kind of turn that happened with the face of Anil. It made him, it made the narrator, it made the, thief a little startled, and immediately he crawled and came out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. I had the notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pyjamas. I slowed down to a walk and counted the notes, 600 rupees in 50s. I could live like an oil rich Arab for a week or two. So ultimately the task was accomplished. But after the accomplishment of task, the burden and the pressurization of your own identity upon, okay, that overtook the identity of a human being, that overtook the identity of the expected betterment, okay, it was snatched, it was also stolen with the notes. But still he was in the aura of that theft. When he counted the notes, he found them 600 rupees and they were all in 50s. And he thought, yeah, for a week and 2 weeks, I would be like, like an aristocratic Arab. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. I had never bought a ticket in my life, but dashed straight to the platform. The Lucknow Express was just moving out. The train had still to pick up speed, and I should have been able to jump into one of the carriages. But I hesitated. For some reason I can't explain, and I lost the chance to get away. You came out. He came out. Okay? And he was having the fear of not being chased by anyone. And as he was not being chased by anyone, but there was someone who was chasing him. He own. He himself actually. Okay? The betterment, and you can call the goodness, that somewhere in the corner of his heart, okay, that was still alive,
it started chasing him. And out of that particular ray of goodness, he is saying, I wanted to catch the Lucknow Express. It was actually on the platform. I was just about to catch it, about, to catch one of the carriages. Because he never bought even a single ticket in his entire life. So that day he was also not in the mood to purchase any ticket. But he's saying, I don't know why I missed that. And I was alone on the platform. When the train had gone, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. I had no idea where to spend the night. I had no friends, believing that friends were more trouble than help me, and I did not want to make anyone curious about staying at one of the small hotels near the station. Now, the most challenging thing was in front of me. Where should I go? I was standing on the deserted, platform. I was having no friends because friends were like the troubles. Okay, they can make me get entangled anytime. And even I don't want to go to the hotels also, because if I go to the hotels, I would be caught by police so easily, because hotels are the first place where they would visit. Okay, when Anil would go to complain against the stealing. The only person I knew really well was the man I had robbed. He's saying, in such kind of circumstances, when we call someone where we can be having the comfort zone I was also having, but I robbed that comfort zone. Okay, the most acquainted one whom I recently robbed. So beyond that, there was no one across the globe for me where I can go and I can seek the help. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaar. In my short career as a thief, I had made a study of men's faces. When they had lost their goods, the greedy men showed fear, the rich men showed anger, the poor men showed acceptance. So we can't say that he was just a simple thief or a simple guy. He was a complete philosopher, you can call. His philosophy towards stealing was masterpiece. He's saying, when I robbed, when I stole the things from people, then I found, and their countenance and the expression, it proved differently with everyone. As he's saying, when the rich were robbed and stolen the things, now they used to show anger. When the poor men, it comes with the poor men, then they showed acceptance. But greedy men, they show fear, because they are most insecure in the world about being stolen. But I knew that Anil's face, when he discovered the theft, would show only a touch of sadness. But he's saying, I found a fourth category in my life, and that is Anil, because I still know he will not belong, to none of the above mentioned categories. He is quite different one. When he would find that he got robbed by me, I know he will be having a touch of sadness, not for the loss of money, but for the loss of trust. It means, for him, the money was actually not a thing to be matter, but somewhere he will be hurt, okay, by the no loss of trust that I did with him. I found myself in the Maidan and sat down on a bench. The night was chilly, it was early November, and a light drizzle added to my discomfort. Soon it was raining quite heavily. My shirt and pajamas stuck to my skin, and a cold wind blew the rain across my face. Even nature didn't support the boy. Why? Because all the universal exposure, they are with us when we are good, when we are performing good, then only we will be able to receive a kind of boost, a kind of energy from the exterior world also. So here he is saying, it was early November, I was feeling cold, and when it started raining heavily, then I started becoming discomfortable. And this is actually the station where everyone actually likes to be, okay, dealing into the comfort zone that he might have had or he can have. I went back to the bazaar and sat down in the shelter of the clock tower. The clock showed midnight. I felt for the notes. They were damp from the rain. Anil's money. In the morning, he would probably have given me 2 or 3 rupees to go to the cinema. But now I had it all. I couldn't cook his meals, run to the bazaar to learn, or write whole sentences anymore. This is actually the burdens, or else you can go the amount of burden that he had out of his sins. Now he is recalling all the things that perhaps if instead of stealing the money, he could have been sleeping, okay, at Anil's house. Then early in the morning, what would have been the things? Okay, Anil could have given him 1 or 2 rupees to go to cinema. He could have cooked a meal for him, or else he could have learned more sentences that he was actually learning. I had forgotten about them in the excitement of the theft. Whole sentences I knew could one day bring me more than a few hundred rupees. Now he found the worth of education that Anil was providing him. That if I could be able to concentrate upon my education instead of stealing the money, one day that would bring me more notes than I am having out of the stealing. It was a simple matter to steal, and sometimes just as simple to be caught. In the entire life, it's very easy to steal something. Even it's easier to be caught also after stealing something. But to be a really big man, a clever and respected man, was something else. But to earn trust, to earn respect, and to earn a high headed zone, that is quite different. That he is actually recalling because the goodness that he had in his heart and he found at Anil's house. Okay, when they both came in contact with each other. Now, this is the echo of the goodness. I should go back to Anil. I told myself, if only to learn to read and write. And the way, when you think, the way, when you start initiating, okay, there comes regret. And he started. He thought I should go back. He thought I should start reading. I should start studying. Because the thing that I skipped, that is better. The thing that I got, that is nothing. I hurried back to the room, feeling very nervous. So, it's much easier to steal something than to return it undetected. Why he is saying so? Because in stealing he was experienced, but he never ever returned anything in his entire life. This is the first time when he was returning. So he's saying, for me it was easier. For me it was quite easy to steal something. But for me this is the most difficult task to return the notes back when I came at Anil's house back. I opened the door quietly, then stood in the doorway. In clouded moonlight, Anil was still asleep. I crept to the head of the bed and my hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my hand. I remained still for a minute. Then my hand found the edge of the mattress and slipped under it with the notes. Still, there was a amount of expression that Anil was still having while he was sleeping. He's saying, I tried, I managed to put the notes back. But suddenly I found Anil's face on my hand. I was actually quiet. But even then, I was having a kind of contentment in my heart. I awoke late next morning to find that Anil had already made the tea. So students, try to concentrate yourself on this sentence. I awoke late next morning. Why he awoke late next morning? Because he made himself pressureless. There was neither pressure, there was no burden upon him now of any kind of badness. And as he was released, okay, he was comfortable and he slept late. He stretched out his hands towards me and he found Anil, okay, who had already made tea for him also. So Anil stretched out his hand towards him. There was a 50 rupee note between his fingers. My heart sank. I thought I had been discovered. When Anil actually was giving him money at the first time, so it was, a kind of questionable thing for the thief. He thought he might have been discovered. Okay, Anil might have got the information that yesterday I stole his money. I made some money yesterday. He explained. Now you will be paid regularly. Anil said, I would give you regular income. And yesterday I got a little money, okay, a few notes. So that is your first, you can call it earning. My spirits rose, but when I took the note, I saw it was still wet from night's rain. The thief is saying to us, when he took the note was still wet. Wait, why it was wet? Out of the moisture of the raindrops of yesterday night. And this 50 rupee note, it is actually the respectable note. It is actually the honored earning that he did. And there will be no pressure. There will be a kind of real earning. Today we will start writing sentences, and that is the additional that he would be having. The additional, the most, we can call honored additional. He knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything. I smiled at Anil in my most appealing way, and the smile came by itself without any effort. So the chapter that started with a smile which was with full of pressure, which was full of artfulness, Okay, the chapter is ending with the same smile, but now this time there is no art, there is honesty and the transformation from badness into goodness.